when there's adoption, scarcity really matters.
Den.social is a content creation platform similar to Reddit where you can earn cryptocurrency. Now, it is a very complex system, but for the most part, you create content, you're rewarded matter. That matter can be exchanged for cryptocurrency, so you earn for creating content, for replying to content, to upvoting, and it is a very intricate system that it took me a while to understand, and I'm going to have a full review on Full Value Dan, and I needed to hear this from the source. There was so much information, so this is my conversation with Joe Roats, CEO of Dragon Chain and of Den.social. So stick around. Hit that thumbs up button, leave a comment, check out Den, and...
It was very obvious to us on Twitter, on Telegram, on Slack in the early days, pretty much Facebook, everywhere we were, that the controls, the administrative controls in trying to help build a community and make it valuable to the people there weren't very well done. And a lot of times, we've even spoken from Dragon Chain's point of view with a couple of those at higher levels, and weren't interested, right? And it kind of flabbergasted a little bit on some of that, if you have people being continuously scammed by others with, impersonation accounts, and, the poor people that it happens to, hopefully, they learn it doesn't happen again, but geez, there's a lot of money that was lost, and it seemed kind of crazy to me that they didn't care about that. So I had mentioned to one of, in one of the conversations on Telegram that, what's really needed is just a crypto-aware platform. It's something that, and I was at the time thinking entirely just about crypto projects because the fraud was very well directed towards people in crypto. And I had a couple of volunteers, say, hey, I'm interested, whatever else. So I started thinking about it a little more deeply. We brought it into a few conversations. I can't remember the year, but we put together a draft white paper, and it ended up being something that we started putting more resources into because it was effectively a very clean, clear way to get how do I say this? To get traction and volume on something that I call behavior systems, where it is, and right now I'm just talking from a Dragon Chain viewpoint, that Den to us is a really good example of the ability of blockchain to help a company or a goal, project achieve goals that have a lot to do with human behavior, right? Where, it's anywhere you are, if you've ever worked in a large organization, if you've ever dealt with any complex political groups, and I don't mean politics, I mean, just a normal group where people are competing, that it becomes really hard. And what Den demonstrates from that point of view is the ability to use blockchain to provide better transparency, a better interface, a better environment for people, depending on what your goals are, to do that thing. And so now I'll try to go through what Den is, and effectively the key goal. We're still very early in our opinion, but the key goal is to provide the best content the fastest, right? And that's the goal, right? And we have different communities, so and it's all themed as a Dragon thing, right? So they're themed. They are called layers. So any individual community is a layer. You have people who subscribe to the layer interested in that subject matter, right? Just like you would have on Reddit with subreddits. Now, how do you evaluate? How do you know that it's the best content, right? Because it can't be a subjective thing. It can't be Joe saying, "Oh, that's good, that's bad," right? we basically tied it to a consensus, and I can go as deep as you want in this, but in all of these things, if you really want to know the depth, go to the white paper, look at that one, the thing that you are interested in or have a question about, and the details will be there, the formulas will be there. And we're working to improve some of that as well to make it easier to determine, okay, what are the things and where are they at? But it's really effective because as soon as people understand how it works, they are, on the one hand, able to be more profitable, to gain more in its use, but they're also improving the system greatly. So it's this really good thing that's, as we move forward with releases, we've learned that it's one thing to reward someone for an action, but it's a totally different thing and a much more valuable thing to let them know that this action directly was the cause of this reward. Of all the things that you've gotten, you got a certain amount of tokens because you did X, Y, Z. Mm-hmm. So, okay, that's big picture. Now, when you get into it.
Oh, can I throw some things in there?
Sure.
Yeah, so completely understand that. I've been on so many different social media platforms. Scammers will just message you out of nowhere pretending to be someone else. There's no authentication, and a lot of people fall for that. So, I've just seen that in every social media community. I know a lot of the blockchain communities build on Discord. There's a lot of Discord scammers, and there's limitations to how many people can be in a Discord. And you can't, it's hard to keep up with so many people in a chat room. So that's where I see a lot of value in Den. And I was hoping that Den could get some partnerships with some of these communities, because I know Axie Infinity, they had a tweet, and I tagged you guys, they have a very big community, a very active one, but they don't know how to reward their community members through Discord, and that's just not going to be possible.
Right. So there's some key pieces, and there's so much, and I will forget. So if you remind me to go back about impersonation, that's a big one. If you remind me to go back about the community side, I think I'll get there here after I cycle through.
Yeah, I remember in one of your videos, you said that there was some kind of behind-the-scenes user rating that the Den owner or lot owners or lair owners are able to rate some of the posts just to fight against spam, and then they kind of have specific requirements to start posting within those layers.
Yeah, it's okay. So I guess the best place to start, in all truth, would be let's pretend that you're a longtime Redditor, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to be. I can't take it anymore. Reddit, and it's not. Anyway, I won't go into that. But everybody understands upvote, downvote. It's like, okay, I like this content. I don't like this content, right? Simple as that. So we have that, obviously, that you could post a comment, or let's say you post something of significant, you put some effort into it. It's original content. I'm going to say that looks like good content. It's the right subject matter for this community. I like it, so I'm going to vote it up, right? Somebody else might vote it down. Now, the interesting part, though, with Den comes in the fact that we didn't think that having a single up or a single down was enough to really stretch good from bad, right? It's not, there's not enough of a signal to the system so that the system can know, a measurable, objective measure. And so what we did is we put a prediction market or information market behind every piece of content. And the way you participate in it is when you upvote, and we just changed the interface to make this a little more obvious or a little easier to understand. When you upvote, now you have a slider that lets you bet on that upvote. And you have a scarce amount of energy, which is derived from the matter, and we can get into that if you want. But because there are some interesting pieces of that surround that. But you have that scarce energy, and you can now bet on that content that I bet the rest of the community agrees that this is awesome content. and everybody, and the more appropriate, the more quality evaluated, the more likely others will also bet the same direction. And we found our initial algorithm is really cool, because our initial algorithm, we had one hole in it that people were gaming, that they realized, if I have enough energy, I can downvote your content enough that you don't get any reward at all, even though 90% of everybody thinks it's good, but they maybe put 1 or 2 energy in it. And we instead made it, we measure the value of that market by the magnitude of both up and down vote energy, which means that, if you attack someone with a ton of negative energy, but everybody else loves the content, they're going to get a massive reward, even though you voted against it. So we use that evaluation both to reward the evaluator. So I'm basically betting in this prediction market and getting a daily reward in Matter token from my participation in the markets. And the people who create the content are getting a reward proportionally, and it's proportional in competition to all of the other content that day. And we have lots of posts that make hundreds of bucks a piece, and it's very early, so it's very interesting. And we do the same thing with tagging. That the earlier you tag the content, the more value you get, as long as you're tagging it in a way that the consensus has resulted, right?
Okay. So I wanted to ask about Matter. I believe 1,000 Matter is mined daily, and then it is split amongst the popular posts. And is that just like one time? But let's say a post keeps gaining traction over several days for any additional upvotes, does it get new Matter continuously? Oh, okay.
Yep, it remains in competition every day. As long as there's new energy applied, it's in the competition. The interesting thing is the consensus, although it could shift, because over time I could have 20 votes up, or 20 individuals saying this is great content on one day, and the next day I could get 18 saying it's not good. And so the consensus can shift, and that affects your reward each day. But the consensus is now sticky. That it didn't used to be. It used to be you had to get a new consensus every day.
I see.
And we realized that wasn't really fair. It didn't make sense. So we modified that. But yep. And we did add an hour window as well. Some of the interesting pieces of this, that energy derived from Matter. So a new user on the system gets 24 energy free. It comes, you have 0 Matter. And if you use that, it's enough that you could make a post and some replies, and you're kind of throttled, right? You use that to, make some decent content. You get more Matter. Now, for every Matter you have, you get 1/24th of a Matter per hour. So by the end of the day, that 1 Matter will get you 1 full energy. And effectively, you keep building this until you have a good amount of energy. And the reason that the energy piece is in there, it's not really a token, is to allow someone to come into the system with no investment, not bringing money in, but also because we knew that if you have a valued token that you are needing to vote with, that a lot of people aren't going to vote. You would lose, because let's say the token becomes worth, a couple of bucks, and I'm not going to vote a bunch. Whereas with energy, it comes back.
Yeah.
So it's like it is scarce, but it's not, a loss if I totally throw it away in the wrong thing.
Right, and I believe you're rewarded for using that energy. Like if you get into if you upvote something early, that becomes very popular.
Yes. Yeah. The earlier it is, and that's the whole thing. The entire thing is programmed, is modeled to affect your behavior in a way that, if you know how the system works, and you want to make Matter, as an example, as an evaluator, let's say your English is not great, or let's say, I I'm not really an expert to write a topic about this, but I know good content when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are people that are like that, and effectively, what they would want to do is go and look at the timeline, the chronological view, and find the newest content, and just as much as possible, downvote the junk and upvote the good, and if you are the earliest voter on that and you choose the right direction that the community does, you're well rewarded. It's an interesting thing, and content is the same thing, that the creator of the content because they're creating it, have the first opportunity to put the tags in. So if they tag it appropriately, they're going to get extra bonus from that.
So how does the tagging bonus work?
It's somewhat similar to the content marketplace, except that it is simpler. You don't apply more energy if you think, oh, I really know that this Bitcoin tag should be here on this cryptocurrency post. It is instead, to keep it very simple, you either don't vote on it, or you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you think that this tag is appropriate for that content or not. And if you are the first person in line to tag that content, and it turns out everybody else says, oh yeah, that is a Bitcoin post, I'll just click on it, you get a good chunk of the reward. And it's as time moves on, it's a decreasing value. So the later you vote on a tag, the less valuable it is in the end. And we haven't tied all of the pieces of the tag in yet. It's right now just a visual thing, so you can quickly look at it and see, okay, that's about Doge. I will or won't read that, depending, or whatever else. But we have plans to make it so that you can filter, so that effectively inside of a community, like you think of it inside of a music community, you might say, I don't want to ever see anything about country or some other type of music, that you could effectively as a user filter stuff in or out. So there'll be some cool stuff there.
Okay, I see. So more questions regarding Matter. I got a few questions about the token, about like it, to find the contract address. It's kind of like deep in there. You can't find it on like CoinMarketCap. The gas fees. Do you think we could talk about that?
Sure.
Would it like how? And also like DappRadar. So there's a lot of different. Are you familiar with DappRadar?
Yeah, a little. I'm not,
Oh, okay. So basically, that's like one of the websites that tells you everything that's going on the decentralized web. They have some of the Den competitors on there, and I know Den isn't available there. Just because it gets more exposure to people that are looking like, okay, what's available on the decentralized web. So that's one of the things I'm hoping to see like added to it, so it gets more exposure. People can find it. With Matter not being also on CoinMarketCap, like potentially people might find the wrong one and maybe try to get that. That's another thing. Because when I had that Matter, I was like, oh, let me go directly to CoinMarketCap. I was like, oh, there's other things, but this is definitely not the one I'm looking for.
Right. Yeah, I know on Etherscan you can see it. Mm-hmm. But it's one of many MTR.
Yes.
Right. Lore is there also. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I do have a, how do I say, there are a couple of odd things about advertising to crypto, right? Or when I say advertising, that is an interface to crypto. It's not our primary. It is definitely in there. I mean, I'm not opposed to it directly, but we are more interested in attracting normies. That the actual ideal, in my opinion, would be to get normal people in who don't really even, they're there for content, or they're there for community, or they are building a community. Mm-hmm. And we want to give them tools to help build that community and to reward, like you mentioned at the beginning, that we have very unique ways to reward your community and also to leverage your community, and without needing to pay for moderators and things like that. And we've proven a lot of that, and that was a lot of what we were looking for. But get back to it. Ideally, what I'd like to see is a normie come in that, in the case of Den, they don't need to make a prior purchase. They just start using the platform. It would be like joining Twitter or Reddit or Facebook or something a little more. Okay, I can just join. I fill in whatever. But when they realize that there is crypto there, all of a sudden it totally changes things, and it makes them realize that that there's a value. There's a value there that wouldn't be there if they were doing the same thing on Facebook or Twitter, and that will get more adoption for crypto long term, right? Mm-hmm. We've seen, and we've had a few cases where people have come in from posts made by crypto influencers, YouTubers, or people who do the rounds on the crypto socials, right? Mm-hmm. That they join all the crypto marketplaces, and some of them are really great people and everything. But we have had some cases where the crypto people come in and they're expecting X, and when they bring in content, it's really kind of spammy content, because mm-hmm. they're basically, oh, check out my X, check out my Y. Yeah. And we're like, yeah. They're there.
I think Hacker Noon is like that. They just post a link. It's like, just give me the content. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're working. By the way, they're working with us on various angles. We're hoping to get more of their writers directly involved. We have a couple of them, right? But if their writers can get directly involved, then they can be rewarded directly for the content, and we can kind of plug things in, whatever else. But a lot of people sometimes come in for the churn, and you can see it in really lazy content that mm-hmm. they'll post a picture with a title, nothing, right?
Yeah.
And effectively it's a waste of their time, because they're not going to gain much, if anything, off of it. But we have seen some people that once they realize, it's like, oh, I can do this instead of that, and I can do this instead of that, and I actually get big rewards, right? We have seen a good number of accounts do that, very quickly once they understand how everything works, right? So.
Sorry, we're jumping around here just because I have all these questions, and I believe Den is built on Dragon Chain technology. It's blockchain social media, right? So everything is kind of stored decentralized. There's no how exactly does that work? How is blockchain incorporated into Den?
Yes. Okay, so it is like everything at Dragon Chain. I mean, it's a hybrid system. So rather than and by the way, so I'll talk about content, but then we should talk about governance as well, right? Mm-hmm. So on content, it is a hybrid system. So the proof is decentralized, the content isn't. So, okay. And we're going to have interfaces so people can pull down various pieces and do what we need to fully decentralize. And we have a lot of interesting plans there. But Dragon Chain basically very quickly lets you prove that this is the content that was written, this is the time that it was written, and it's proven all the way through the about 2,000 Dragon nodes, but then also up into Ethereum and into Bitcoin combined. So every single transaction will have a Bitcoin proof and an Ethereum proof, and our own network. So that's the intent of it. Mm-hmm. And when I say every single action, that is the mining operation. That is all of the results of what happens every day. But it's also every post, every reply, every vote is on chain. So and even if it's multiple votes, that because like we said, it's a marketplace, so you can adjust your value. Every entry is going to be a chain entry. So I don't know if did I answer. I think that's mostly the answer, maybe.
I had like 2 other questions and several ideas come in, and now my mind is a train wreck of different things I was thinking about.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, using the platform, The picture quality is really bad when like someone uploads a picture. I think it gets down-resed.
Oh, does okay? Yeah, we'll look at that. I know we have a couple things we don't have finalized on that.
Okay, because
There are a couple of things with metadata as well. Like sometimes the rotation gets screwy too.
oh, okay.
It's worse.
I'm all about quality, so I was
Yeah.
wondering about that. Like, how do like photos get stored on Den? Is that just in a server somewhere? Is it on the
Yeah,
decentralized?
right now I think they made adjustments to make sure that it was a reasonable. But I'm not. Are you using web or are you using mobile?
Web. I'm actually having issues with mobile. I think it's
Okay.
I haven't logged in a while, but I'm still logged in, and it just won't let me interact. But it doesn't say to
Really?
like sign out and log back in.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe you can send us something. But
Mhm.
yeah. Anyway, that's all adjustable.
Mhm.
We're still pretty early. I haven't heard
Yeah.
anyone saying anything about images though. I mean, we've actually been focused a lot. We have what we think we have a partnership. I mean, I really like the other team that is not finalized, but to do streaming video, decentralized streaming video, so that we won't have to. Right now we support embedding of a couple of other video platforms,
Mhm.
but we really want to host our own, so that will be there too.
Oh yeah, I was gonna suggest that, like maybe partnering with one of the decentralized storage solutions. There's a lot of
Yeah.
them, or
Oh
any
yeah,
of
there's some good ones too.
the Web3 protocols. Like, do you know Mask? Mask Network, Mask.io. They do this really cool thing. It's a Chrome extension. You can use it on top of Twitter, and then it gives you access to like crypto Twitter. You see anything with the hashtag, you hover over it. You can see the pricing. You can
Huh.
see NFTs. You can swap on the platform. You can connect your wallet. Really cool, but the it creates like your own identity. But another thing, if it's like partnered with Dragon Chain, maybe getting that reputation, maybe incorporating something with the energy, with being able to reward people directly through Twitter, and like a Dragon Chain Mask extension, something like that, where
Mhm.
I know the hardest thing for a social media platform, it's to gain users. It's like a lot of
Yeah.
people won't move over to something. It's like, well, maybe you can build on top of something.
Well, we're patient there.
Mhm.
We didn't want to grow too fast, and even our process for adding new layers was geared to
Right.
let it be as natural and organic as possible. Where the people, because we had some early tests in the alpha version where we let even our small number of users create their own layers, and
Mhm.
it was stupid because you had thousands of layers with no content,
Yeah.
and like it doesn't work. So we have some interesting angles on that, and it's all patience related.
Mhm.
I mean, we want to make sure that we get everything right. We have a philosophy to use basic these behavioral features to counter manipulation or other things we notice. So, we halfway consider it to be a bounty. If
Mhm.
somebody can find a way to kind of, what you or I might think is cheating, that they do that for a few days, we figure out what it is. We're like, oh, that's pretty smart, and now we counter it, and
Mhm.
we counter it with an algorithm. We go through our governance board and we put the algorithm, the update in, and they've been rewarded for having found that, but they've helped us in countering it. So, and if we had millions of users, we would not have been able to build what we built. We would have been scrambling to do the little things. So this left it to a point where functionally, I mean, even our blocking system is unique, and there's a lot more planned there too. Our reputation system is very unique. And the ability to how do I say this? The ability to configure your community layer in a way that how do I say this? You can kind of filter people, or pre-filter people by saying, look, to come into our layer, if you've never posted here before, you have to have a site-wide reputation of 4 stars, let's say, if you want to post here. Now, if you want to reply here, maybe 2 stars,
Is it possible for like the regular user to see the reputation of someone?
Right now, no. Right now, you can see the reputation settings if the layer has them turned on. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just free for all. And you can see your own and how it maps to, okay, that's why I can't post, but I can reply. So I'm going to reply, build a reputation, and then do whatever. We are working because we tend to take a pretty conservative approach when we put these things out, that we don't want to do something that people might recoil at, right? That, it might be a things like, I don't want other people to know that I have a really crappy reputation in this layer, right?
Yeah, I think Reddit does it really well. Like, I always look at, like, how long have you been a Redditor? What's, like, your upvote history? Like, let me see some of your old posts before, like, responding to someone. And because most of the time it's spam, and it is.
Yeah, and we are starting to open it up slowly where, for example, when we're turning on governance, it's rolling out with the governance votes being totally transparent. You will see who voted, how they've, everything about it, right? We do expect that all of the regular votes will be totally transparent, and therefore all the reputations will be transparent, but we just haven't turned that out yet, right? We're keeping it kind of simple to start. But it's a really neat thing because you can open it up so that you let anybody in, and then you clamp down real fast if they're trolls, right? Mm-hmm. And you can do that without actually having to manually do it. You make these changes to the config, and it can effectively do that. Most of the ones we've seen are, they tighten up on the inbound so that they don't let people in to do posts or maybe the main feature. Some of them even control whether you can vote or not, because some people will try to do stupid things with the voting. But anyway, there's a lot to it. I could talk about the governance systems, how we're doing current site-wide governance, what we're moving to. I don't know if you want to hear about any of that.
It's great.
Ask me what you want to hear about.
Okay, so I think more of the tokens, token stuff. Because there's matter, there's lore, there's lot, and then there's also Dragon Chain. So first question is, it's on ERC20, very expensive network. Are there plans to bridge to other networks?
Well, I will say when we first set everything up, the original plan, a lot of people don't know this, was to roll it out on Binance. And we were working with them or talking to them. We had people talking to them, it was back and forth. And we couldn't get enough info about whether it was worth doing it or not. And it was very early, right, on their chain. And then at that time, they did not have an NFT standard. So, and we knew that we needed an NFT standard or NFT token for the layer ownership, the community ownership. So we then moved to considering that we were going to put the lot, the layer ownership on Ethereum and have Matter on Binance. And it just turned into too much to worry about. So we just did everything on Ethereum. And, how do I say this? I'll tell you one thing. When we had the layer creation process. Mm-hmm. And so given that we have a hybrid environment, and we have some very definite philosophical views about something on Dragon Chain versus Ethereum, and when and why and how you might want to put a token on Ethereum versus not, or on Binance versus not, or anywhere else. And we ran the original layer creation processes where you could effectively vote on the layer proposals internally with lore, or you could vote on them on Ethereum with Lore, right? And a number of people did, because the first ones were the only way, unless you had dragons, that you could get Lore was to go out and buy it on the Ethereum and vote on that side. You couldn't bring your Lore in to vote on stuff. And so the people who had dragons were all voting internally. And as it turns out, the people on the outside were, man, they were just getting horrible fees, obviously, right? Hundreds of dollars. And they're spending thousands for the Lore to put it in. So, okay. But it's interesting because once we opened up the ability for people to bring Lore in from the outside and vote internally, so that instead of spending $80 on every layer that they want to put Lore into, there are no fees. So all of a sudden, everything was obvious. Well, there's no reason to even operate on the outside. We're seeing almost everything moving over to the internal use. And so we just turned on Matter, Lot, and Lore tipping. So now you can tip people with ownership or Lore or Matter. No fees. Now, we might add a fee. And that's up to the governance body. But, we're at least talking about it and how to, what we want to do with that. But we do even have a plan to let people trade Lot for Matter, right? So in the end, you would be able to live entirely on until you want to exit. So Matter would be the only thing that you would have to move out and trade if you needed to, pay your bills or whatever else, right? We have a lot of people that do that. They create content, and they, some people live in Venezuela, and some people live in Africa, and it's a really good thing. Yeah.
But are there?
It's open. There are no plans. There are no plans to change that. It's you never know. It's a possible thing. It could happen.
Oh, because I know there's like so much support for all the other chains to onboard more projects that they have the funding and marketing that would potentially get a lot more exposure for Den and to bring down those fees. So
well, they've not contacted us. So
you have to contact them. There's a lot of different programs.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's not our goal. Again, the crypto world is there, and there's a reason it's there, and there's value, and it's good to have the value. But our primary goal is the actual fundamental utility of this platform, which it does derive many points of value from having that cryptocurrency basis, but that is not the primary goal.
I see.
And because I'm not Justin Sun, and I don't.
Right.
That's not what I do. It's like so, and someday, you keep building. It develops into something very valuable. So.
Okay, got it. But a few more questions. So let's say I'm a Dragon Chain token holder. I have Dragon Chain. How does that integrate with Den? Because I think you get something like Lore or something. Like that was a little confusing to me.
Yes, there was. If you gosh, I can't remember the date. There was a block height on Ethereum that there was a snapshot. So the first ever. It's not quite farming. I don't know that the farming is the right word for it, but there was a snapshot where you would get one Lore for every dragon you had. So if at any point, if you haven't already done it, if you claim the wallet that held dragons on that day, you would get that snapshot, right, in Lore. So that's the first. Now,
is that still possible for people who?
Yeah. If you have dragons and you've never done it, and they were there, whatever day that was, sorry, I would have to go back.
No, don't worry. I mean, I'm probably in the clear. I just have it in a cold wallet. I don't have access to it. It's in another country.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so you have to go in and claim the wallet. Prove that you own the address. Signing. I can't remember, but it's a Web3 thing in MetaMask. So you sign that, you claim that address, and you will be boom. There's a bunch of Lore from that. Beyond that, and also the other reason to claim it is that every day there are pools. So there is a dragon pool. There is a matter pool. There is a lore pool. There's a lot pool, and there is a couple liquidity pools that award daily lore, and we have that set up to go for at least 5 years. It's a significant numbers, and it's probably longer than that too, because we have a bunch of lore that wasn't able to be applied this year that will be moving out. So
okay, so layer ownership rights. How does that work?
okay, so layer ownership rights is, and that's what all of that, if we want to call it farming, centers around. That simply having matter, simply having dragons, simply having already having lore or lot, whether it is internal, on the platform already, or if it is on the Ethereum network and in a claimed address, that you will be rewarded every day. So the layer ownership rights, although there are other planned utility cases in the future related to subscriptions and other things, they are primarily used from the beginning to create layers. So in order to create a layer, you have to have lore. And if it's part of our layer creation process, the LCP that happens every month, then you basically vote on a proposal with your lore. And we usually have two categories. There's a certain number of layers that get the highest votes will become created, and a certain number of layers that get the most users voting on them, unique users, will be created. And every lore that goes in for every vote, when the contest finishes or when the LCP is, the commit phase is done, every lore is converted to a lot. And it's not even just converted to a lot. It's actually, and if I remember right, I'm not a Solidity dev, right? But that it was the first NFT that held a fungible token internally. So basically, for every single lot that is created, there's a lore frozen inside of it. Okay, so and those can be released, but if they are released, half the lore does not come back to you, right? So it's like there's a penalty.
So lore is kind of general for the platform. A lot that's specific to a specific layer, right?
Right. Yeah, lot would be, let's say, the cryptocurrency layer, one of the first ones. There were only 1,000 lot. So if you could get one of those, it would be worth more proportionally. And some of the layers have millions of NFTs that are inside of them.
The NFT layer has like 84 million, and it's like a 3.5 million market cap. I was looking at OpenSea. It's like I wanted to see if it was worth getting one of the lots, and I was like, oh, it's not worth it. It's very expensive.
It can't be 85 million. It might be. I think we made like 110, 115 million lot total. Then, so it's probably, it might be 8.5. 8.5 is probably.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was just browsing OpenSea,
right?
Yeah.
And either way, though, every day, every post, every fee that goes in for a post gets split amongst those lot. Every vote that is placed and the energy. So it's effectively, let's say I'm going to put a couple of thousand energy on some reply that you make. You're going to get a pretty good reward depending upon the consensus of that reply. But the person that you replied to is going to get a small cut, and the post is going to get a small cut, and the layer is going to get a small cut, and that small cut going to the layer gets split up into all of the owners of the lot in that layer. And so you want a high performing layer that you can get a good proportion of the lot for, right? And it's just, it just keeps going. And the effect is, with that lot, not only do you get that portion, you also get not quite admin rights, but you get governance rights, which we're rolling out in the next couple of weeks here. That the layer governance is finally coming, where currently we're running it under two or more admins, depending upon the community, knowing that we are moving to the governance. But in the end, everything will be lot based. That if somebody wants to change a reputation setting, first they have to have lot. Then they go in and make the change, which puts their vote in for the change, and then anybody else weighs in, and they can say, no, that's a stupid idea. I'm going to vote against it. So on and so on, changing the banner, doing anything else. And we're rolling that out as a way to do a very normie-friendly decentralized governance model. So there's a bunch of really cool stuff, and there are a lot of people interested in that, where they don't want to pay, again, they don't want to pay Ethereum fees to make a vote on something in their club, right? That this would make it very simple and without fees.
How is the number of lots determined, since they all have like various amounts?
In the LCP, the layer creation process, it's a very interesting thing that there are no fees. You come in, you say, okay, I really like that idea. I can see that so far 100,000 lore have been committed. So let's say I want 10%. So I'm going to put in 11,000 or whatever it takes to get 10%. And I'm going to, let's say that's right before the end, it freezes up. I get my 11,000 lot. Whoever else put in 100,000 gets their lot. It literally is one for one, however much lore is applied. And so they're all variable, and some months you get more than others, obviously. But the other side of it is if you come to us as a business or a brand, or as someone in the community who says, we really need X, and I'm going to bring these people in. Right now, they can pay, I think the fee is in Ethereum, 1 ETH, right? And they bring their own lore. So some of them will bring in 100,000, some will bring in 1 million, depends on what they want. We also have other models. We have a few very interesting ones shaping up for our show, World Blockchain Roundtable. Very much an experiment in this. It was, okay, we want to build a community from the topic contributors and from the hosts. So we have a roundtable of hosts, and we started with bare minimum. We had to have a few lot just so we could, configure the layer and so on. But basically, every week, based upon the number of views on Twitter, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, I can't remember where else, Twitch maybe, that we take we round the most significant digit. So we basically say if it's over 2,000, then it's 2,000. If it's over 11,000, then it's 10,000. That number of lot is created and split among the hosts and among the topic contributors. And that way, every month, you have to keep participating to keep pace. So we have models like that where some of them will grow. The LCP ones, the ones that come from the layer creation process, can never add more. That is maxed. It's actually fixed in the contract that you can't add more lot. Sorry.
No, I get it. Very, very interesting. Yeah, it's a very good way to keep people engaged, to get them more active in the community. So that is a fantastic idea. I was just
that's cool.
Internalizing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the white paper really gets a lot of detail that a lot of times I will even forget, because when we drill down in, the devs and me, we get into a lot of different data. And we look at the data and we say, okay, it's all historical data. We're not looking at today's stuff. We're looking at, okay, we know this happened, and we can look at what the consensus was, and we can evaluate what needs to happen. And some of the hard stuff we're working on right now, that we have time to do this, but is finding the way to decentralize more of that. We already have a lot, like the decision making is very well decentralized, but right now, we're this team is the only implementer, right? And so we want to expand that, and we're working on a lot of different things with people who are used to doing more of a complex project management stuff, that we can see how we can plug in this? How do you plug in algorithms to help move humans, right? So anyway,
More questions on lot. So yeah, you have a piece of the
yes.
layer. You get rewarded for having that. How do those rewards work?
It is a daily payout, and you can look in a payout report.
And you
And
get
at the
paid out
bottom of
in
the
more
report,
lower or lot
oh,
or
matter.
matter?
Sorry, I should say it. Yeah, everything paid out is in matter
Okay.
except for the farming stuff, which is in lore.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it is a I think it is 80% of the daily matter 800 is to content, and the remainder is divided among multiple direct utility pools. The evaluation market, which is there's a separate uptrend and downtrend eval market. The tagging, there's an engagement pool. There is a pool specifically for efficient energy use. So if you are able to spend more energy in that 24-hour period and not just leave it sitting idle, you get rewarded. So
Oh,
it's like
okay.
it's to reward,
People
you
are
know,
active.
yeah, and it's and it's an interesting thing because when you try to do that, I mean, it's kind of it's a fun thing because you realize you have to ration it. It's like, okay, I have this many hours left. I have to make sure that good content could come up, so I have to try to break it down like that. And nobody's perfect with it, but it's an interesting thing. And the other is matter use, and generally that is either simply having matter generating energy will get you a reward proportionally to everyone else, but you can enhance that reward by boosting content. Typically your own content or content that is in a project, something talking about something you're really interested in or whatever else. You can boost it and actually get it. I think it's a 10x reward on the same amount of matter.
How does boosting work?
Okay, so boosting is very philosophically driven again,
Mhm.
but it is effectively, our philosophy around that, and this was somewhat of an experiment into it, and I'd say it works really well. That our philosophy is that any well-targeted content or well-targeted advertisement is not an advertisement to the target. That if I'm really looking for X and you boost content that describes X, and like it's content to me. I don't care if it's something you're selling or if it's a review of your product or whatever else. And the way we do it is we let people commit matter. So if you want to boost something, you have to commit matter to it. And there are two different types of boosts. I'll just talk about the internal first. The internal boost basically puts that piece of content in direct competition with every other piece of content that is boosted in a given feed. So it could be the global feed, everything I'm subscribed to. It could just be the cryptocurrency feed or the space feed or something. But within that competition, it'll rank, and there will be boosted content if there is any every fifth or seventh or something post. I can't remember the algorithm. But based upon the consensus. So if people have upvoted it, and let's say it's 100% upvote, the person will get back 85% of their committed matter. The 15% goes to the layer and to Den, right? Just as fees.
Mhm.
But the point is that well-performing content will remain well-performing and will have a better position for people to see it than if it was not boosted. And content that is inappropriate or maybe it's not the best content in the world for this layer, for this community, will very quickly drop in its ranking. And it's a neat thing because although you could apply more matter to it, and it ends up being an exponential requirement. You have to put a lot of matter in if it's not performing well to get it to the same level. And so it works really well for that. The other side of boosting is that same matter. It's the same interface, except there's a dial, there's a slider on it that says I want to put 100% internal, 100% external, or anywhere in between. And anything that is external is effectively advertising on other platforms because it is paying people who share it onto Twitter or Facebook or email or whatever for any engagement that that content gets from the outside. So it's, effectively a way for me to spread my content outside in ways that I might not have access to, right? Different accounts, whatever. So I don't know. I think I got everything there. There's a lot to that too. But.
Yeah. So you mentioned like you could 10x your MTR off this. So that's if the post gets trending and a lot of people upvote it, regardless.
That's in that one pool. It's the way it counts. It's if you use your Matter to boost, it's effectively a 10x on that Matter you put into boost that pool. So it's just it's an incentive for people. If it's it's like, I don't know if I'll boost it or not. It's like, oh, there's a reason to boost it because I can not only get some of it back if it performs well, but I can also get some back in the mining every day.
I see. So, like, how much Matter is like a boost? Is there like a minimum, a maximum? Because you said it has to do a lot if it's not performing well.
I don't know if I think probably the minimum is probably 1. I don't know if there is a literal minimum. I think it's whole value though. In fact, I don't remember that in all truth. But it is, you can boost by a tiny bit or a lot. So. And we've run some experiments where we boost a lot and just see how people treat it. And a lot of what we're still working on, fine tuning, is the ability for a user, a denizen, to easily understand, okay, this is boosted and it's an external boost. So if it's an external boost, that means I should go share it, right? So we're still fine tuning some of that so people can get a signal.
Okay, so if it's an internal boost, that gets shown in other layers. Is there like maybe 1 or 2 or like 5?
No, it just gets placement in the layer. So we don't, because you wouldn't want, like, say, cryptocurrency content over in politics, right?
Okay.
So it is still focused in the community, but it's based upon performance in that community, and it's primarily, I would say the best use of it is the ability to bring content from yesterday to today so more people see it, right? That's the primary purpose, but it is also to help it stay high in the above the fold, on the first page when you look at the layer, that type of thing. And it's all competition, and we're gearing up for what I still think is coming with adoption. That when the business world, whether it's corporate or startup, gets it, the adoption is going to make all of the speculation to this point seem like a blip. Because the adoption is going to be real, and it's going to be holy crap, scarcity. When there's adoption, scarcity really matters.